Before the time of the laws of man, there were only the laws of Mother Nature. And the belief within those laws and that understanding was that our rivers and our streams were not only a life force of water, but they were also the bloodlines of our ancestors. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, and welcome to Oak Law Door. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Claire Attio. For those that are returning subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we're going to be looking at water, the element of water, and I'm going to be sharing some antidotes of occurrences that have happened to me and our desire to heal the land. And I know when I returned back to England, where I live, I had a huge desire to heal the land, to sing to the land, to chant to the land, to say prayers as I was walking on the land. And it was a nudge from spirit, and I kind of went with it. And it was hugely profound. But before we get into the grandeur of, healing the land, healing doesn't come from me. It comes from divine. I'm just a vessel. You're just a vessel. When we do the work, when we follow this spiritual path, we become vessels of the divine's bidding. It's not us. So let's step away from any egoic thoughts there. Whatever occurs, whatever happens, whatever miracles transpire, it transpired. Yes, we can take credit for the fact that we stepped onto the spiritual journey and we have done the work that was needed so that we could become a clean and clear vessel. But that's all we can take credit for. The rest comes through divine. We are that vessel. We are doing the divine's bidding. The other aspect that we need to step away from when it comes to grandioso is Mother Gaia is our mother. She is infinitely more powerful than we are. And so does she need us to heal her? No, she can do it herself. But if you're a parent, or if you you've been around children, you will know how beautiful it is when a child steps up to nurture you, when a child shows you compassion and kindness. And when I was actually channeling this information, I was given a reminder of when my daughter was little, and I was a single mum and I was working nights, and in those working nights there were some days where I was absolutely knackered, and so I kind of put a movie on for her and I'd snuggle down on the sofa, and sometimes I would drop off. Not the best thing in the world when you're supposed to be looking after children, but a human thing to do. And I can remember in that half sleep state, because if you're a parent, you know that there's always, even when you're sleeping, there's always one eye open almost. She had her blanket and she would actually give me her blanket and she would tuck it up around me, and it gives you, and it gives Mother Gaia such joy to see the children do that. We're her children. So to be doing the work that, yes, she's capable of doing, but to actually show that we care, to show that we love her, to show compassion and consideration is really auspicious to her. And so we are giving back to her. We are giving back to Mother Gaia. So when we talk about healing the earth, that's what we're talking about. We're not healing as such. We are showing her that we care. So those are the two things that I wanted to really kind of get across. because it's very easy to get into the egoic state of we're doing this. And I think when I think about that, I think about the many people that are on the recycling and environmental bandwagon at the moment, and they're doing it from a place of genuine concern, but unfortunately some of the things that are actually going on to save the planet are actually destroying the planet even more. And I think people need to take that on board. People really need to do their own research rather than just following mainstream. Mainstream is very much about how can we keep them on the hamster wheel? How can we keep them in this cycle? How can we keep them from thinking for themselves? And when people started actually thinking for themselves about, oh, hang on, what we're doing to the environment, we're taking more than we actually need, then isn't it interesting that governments globally started to step in, started to address this issue? And we really need to take that on board. We really need to have the discernment within ourselves to do the research that we need to do. Electric cars, for instance, are you aware of the amount of desecration to the land that is needed to construct your battery? And with that, are you aware that at the moment we have no idea how we're going to dispose of those batteries once their lifespan has been terminated? And these are the subjects. Mother Gaia gives us all these minerals, gives us all the oil, for example. It was produced by Mother Gaia for us to use. The problem is not the oil. The problem is the fact that we kept taking and taking and taking more than we needed. That sense of lack within us, those programs of lack within us, meant that we were not respecting her. We were not respecting the land. And okay, you can say emissions. We've got an electric car because of emissions, but have the emissions of corporates been addressed? The ones that are actually creating these toxic emissions, have they been addressed? And so your electric car, how much desecration has that actually caused? How ecologically sound is it? Do your own research. Have a look. Don't buy into the matrix. That aside, the water, going back to what I actually said in the introductions, our streams and our rivers, the water. I'm a water sign, and so I have great affiliation with water, and I assumed that a lot of that was because I'm a water sign, and there is a little bit of that going in whatever sign you are. So fire signs will be the igniters, the motivators, the ones that hold the passion. The air signs are the communicators. The earth signs are those that like to work the land and are very grounded, nurturing and loving. So each sign that we're under, but let's not forget we have different planetary alignments, and so we all embody all of the signs, and it's creating a balance within that, creating a balance of the elements within us that actually puts us on our North Node path. It really propels us forward on our spiritual journey. But the waters came in for me. The waters have been coming in since I've come back. The waters have been coming in. I have had so many downloads, so many visions of the waterways. I know when I went to Iona last year, did some monumental healing with water and a visualization. Now I need to go back and I need to look at old geology there to see if where I was in my vision working with the water and with that doing lots of ancestral healing, whether that there was a river there. Whether there still is a stream there, I don't know. At the moment, it's land, but it wouldn't surprise me if there had been a stream there, or there still is a stream there underground. And when I was thinking about that, I was also taken back to some of the research I was doing last year and some of the kind of fishing around, because I was kind of like, why are water wells? Because sacred wells, sacred wells. And I know I don't live that far from Glastonbury, and we've got two waterways that come in. And the monumental aspect of that is we've got two separate ravines of water, two separate streams, two separate sacred wells of water, the red well and the white well, and that is symbolizing the masculine and the feminine coming together, that divine masculine and divine feminine. And when I was away at the Peak Districts in February, just a few weeks ago, I had actually kind of sourced and seen and was inspired to go to a sacred well, a little known sacred well that stems from a cave. And we were walking, but unfortunately or fortunately, the divine always has a way of actually taking you down the right path that you need to go. We went the wrong way. I didn't actually get to see the source of the well. I got to see the stream from the well, but not the source of the well. But as the walk that we actually took, what became very apparent was this was also a place where two sources of water converged and ran parallel to each other. And though again it was one stream was red water, so you had all that iron in there, and the other stream was white water. So that white water, red water, that divine masculine, that divine feminine there. And these waterways exist all over the planet. I focus on the Celtic and England because that's what I know and that's where I am. But these waterways are available and calling to us to reconnect. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate about religion, but religion played a massive part with taking us away from this. Now, if you go back to what I first said in the introduction, our ancestors, our Native American, the Celtic shamanism, wherever you live in the world, you will have the same thing. The belief were the waterways were not just the source of life. We cannot exist without water, for example. So it is extremely important, but they are also the bloodlines of our ancestors, which makes them sacred, which takes me on to the next part. Why were all the sacred wells desecrated as they were? And they would have us believe, and this is what I was shown this morning when I was tuning into this and when I was channeling this, is it never really felt or made sense to me that they would desecrate them just to stop them being a place of worship, because worship, whatever you worship, it's a connection to divine. You're connecting to divine. It does, however, make much more sense that they were desecrated because they put us in touch with our ancestors. They gave us the information. And when you think about water, water is it's the emotional body. And so if we're taken away, so when we connect with the water in that way, and we connect with our ancestors in that way, we connect with our emotional body in a much bigger way. We connect with our heritage. We understand it. We can be introspective of it. And in that introspection, we raise our consciousness. That's why I believe these were desecrated. These water wells were desecrated. It kept us away from the higher levels of consciousness. It's when we're in the higher levels of consciousness that we become a sovereign being. And in being a sovereign being, we are not controllable. We are not malleable. We do not follow. We become leaders of our own life. And it's kind of, when that came in this morning, I was just like, I remember when I first started opening up to my spirituality, in consciously opening up, consciously starting to do the work. And one of the aspects that actually that was a catalyst for that. I was kind of dabbling in, dabbling out, but I wasn't really invested. But in 2013, 2014, I went to Cantabria in Spain, and it's in the north of Spain. It's beautiful, beautiful area. And I was in a stream. It was the most gorgeous place out in the middle of nowhere. And I was paddling in the stream, and I was kind of just doing my thing. And my partner at the time took some photographs. And when I looked at the photographs, there was a streak of light that came right the way down through me and into the water. And at the time, I never thought anything of it. I just thought, oh, it's a camera glitch. And I deleted the photo. And I wish I'd never, it's one of those moments where I deleted the photo and you think, ah. As it was, a few days on from that incident, we were driving through a canyon, and I was just casually taking photographs of the canyon and the river running down the side of it. And I've got the beam of light again. And it's exactly the same as it was coming through me. And looking back, I now know that was me and the beginning of the journey of connecting with my ancestors. I didn't connect it. I didn't honestly connect it. I knew it was the start of me opening up, but I didn't connect it to the beginning of the journey of my ancestors and tapping into my heritage. When I came back from that vacation, that's when I really kind of felt the urge to start to dig in, start to connect with my guides. And even that, I chuckled this morning because the first time I connected with one of my guides, I was in a body of water. And it would be really interesting to hear your stories. Where did you first connect? Depending on what element is your strongest element, where did you connect? How was that vision? How was that connection? Where was it? Was it on a fire walk? Was it up on a mountain with that air, with the wind blowing through? Was it digging in the dirt? It would be really interesting. So to drop your comments below because this morning it was like that ching. And I've always known that deep connection to the water sign for me. And even in the work that I do, what's interesting is, and again, drop your comments. If you're a practitioner, where have you been guided? What is your strength? Who are the people you work with? Are you working with communication? Are you working with motivation? Again, are you working with the land? Are you an ecologist and you're doing permaculture, for example? What is your drive? Where are your passions, and how do they align with your astrology? I know for me, with the practice that I do, I mostly deal with emotional issues, and getting people to move through and transmute those negative aspects within their life that hold them back, that keep them blocked, that have them thinking that they're not good enough, or they're not worthy enough, or all those negative inner aspects of inner talk from our emotions of who we believe we are. And so that is really interesting as well. So let me know. But it's about cultivating every aspect, every element within you, connecting with your ancestors, understanding them. And when you don't understand them, trusting. That plays a massive part. There are so many things that have come in that I've had visions with, that I've had channels of, that I've gone, what? I really haven't understood it. It does come into play. That's why journaling, and I will say, and I will continue to say, journal, whatever it is, even if it makes absolute no sense whatsoever, it's complete nonsense to you at the time, just write it down. Don't put your interpretations on it. Write it down exactly as it was. If you want to afterwards do a little bit of introspection, that can be really helpful, because that actually shows you like from where you were to where you are. And that can be really motivating, because there are aspects of the spiritual journey that are really hard, that are challenging, that you kind of think, why am I doing this? There are all those aspects. And so if you've got those little nuggets in your journals, they will motivate you and go, oh, yeah, no, well, this is why I'm doing it, because that's where I was and this is where I am. And that's possibly where I'm going. It's leaving yourself open to the potentials rather than being fixed. And, and I kind of say that tongue in cheek, because I am a fixed water sign. And so that has been a challenge for me, not to I'm going here, because my head has said that. My head makes sense of that, rather than just allowing myself to surrender. I have got better. I'm not perfect by any means of the imagination. There are still times where I go and everything goes stiff and the shackles go up and it's like, but the majority of the time I am learning to surrender. I am cultivating not just the trust with myself, but the trust with my ancestors and with divine. My biggest phrase, and it's one that's well known, but one that I've never used before, but I have been using. I found myself using it probably now for about 6 months, is let go and let God. And I don't mean that in any religious sense, although my connection to religious deities, archangels, whatever you want to call them, has become closer. There's a lot within the Bible that makes a lot of sense to me. What doesn't make sense is the way that it's actually preached, the way it's used in a harmful way to hurt others or to belittle others or to make others feel less than. And that goes for all of the books, because when you look at the Quran, when you look at the Torah, when you look at Hindu scriptures, the stories within them are very much the same. The way that they are preached, let's be honest, history shows us that the way that they've been preached has been divide and conquer. And I truly don't believe that that was the intention behind the stories. I believe the intention behind the stories were to disseminate the information like we disseminate the information now. It will be interesting in 100 years' time, in 200 years' time, in 300 years' time, or people like myself that put out these videos, that put out this information, that talk about spirituality, how that will be interpreted or how that will be misinterpreted for an agenda. And that's what we want to step away from. We want everybody to become a sovereign being, a leader of their own lives. I hope that's been of help. I hope you find some gems within whatever I've said. I don't ever know until I do the editing, I'll be honest. If you've liked the video, please press that like button. If you've not yet subscribed, please press subscribe, and I shall see you all on the next one. You take care. Bye bye.